Hello, Cherries fans. Tonight, AFC Bournemouth are in Carabao Cup action against Norwich at Carrow Road. Well done if you're one of the Cherries fans that's making the long and arduous journey across to East Anglia. Tom Jordan's one of them, and on this video, we will hear from him later. Plus, we'll be getting all the reaction from the game later on this evening. But to help me talk about it and chat about a few other issues, we've got Jeff Hayward here, the return of Chairman Jeff Hayward. How are you, buddy?
I'm fine. How are you, Sam? You okay?
Yes, not too bad so far. So before we get started into the Norwich preview, obviously your time has been sparse over the last couple of weeks, but just give me a brief analysis on what you've made at the start of the season for AFC Bournemouth so far.
Really exciting. I feel much more positive about watching this team this season than I did equivalent games last season. It's a different vibe entirely, and they're making mistakes. But they're doing some great things, and it just feels that they're a unit. That's what I'm really picking up.
Yeah. It is, and it's great to see everyone smiling, the youth being blooded, and it all seems to be coming together quite nicely. So added to that, we've got experienced players coming in like Gary Cahill. Not had your opinion on that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be a good signing for us. If you look at every team we've played so far this season, they've got a template for beating us. And that template is get lots of free kicks and set pieces, and stick the ball in the box, and eventually we'll get bullied and concede a goal because we're not very good at defending set pieces. We're not a big side. What does Cahill bring? He's got experience, he's got height, he knows how to deal with that sort of approach, and I think that's going to be a great help. You know, if teams find that actually they get no change out of us from that sort of situation, how are they going to score against us? Blackpool, on Saturday, we conceded 20 free kicks.
Yeah, that's not particularly great, is it? Tell you what,
and I also think that the way that Parker's got us playing a much more higher intensity game, we're going to give away more free kicks. So we've got to
that's
going to
happen.
Better.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. One of the plus points for the season so far for me has been the youngsters and the way they've taken to playing in amongst the more experienced players, and there's not one of them that I would say is particularly weak. I think Jordan Zamora has done really well down that left side. He's dovetailed with Jaden Anthony very well. Great to see him get off the mark at Birmingham City with that debut goal. When I say debut, the very first goal he scored for the senior teams. Of course, the Betway Cup doesn't really count, does it? Also, Ibsen Rossi, I mean, apart from that one moment at the weekend against Blackpool, he's been faultless so far, and he adds a bit of height. Plus, you know, Gavin Kilkenny, that lower central defensive midfielder player, he's been exceptional there, hasn't he?
They've all been excellent. I think you do get the odd mistake. I mean, you know, they're not perfect, and Ibsen Rossi that just got caught ball watching a bit, and even then, you know, the attacker barged into him to get the penalty. The ref was on the wrong side, but because he was on the wrong side, it looked worse than it was. And I think that sort of mistake, Jay-Z's given up the ball a few times when he shouldn't have done, and Gav's got caught in possession a couple of times. But the pros vastly outweigh the cons with them. They're so exciting. They can play for each other, you know, really comfortable on the ball. And I think the one player that I think is an outstanding talent is Jaden Anthony. Could you have seen Danjuma making those two passes that he's made this season, those inside balls to Jay-Z and to Phil Bill for those two goals that we scored? I mean, the guy can see a pass that we haven't had on that outside space. And I think he's going to be, I've said it already in this house, he's going to be better than Danjuma for the team.
Love it. And you know what? He exudes confidence, but he doesn't do it on Twitter by doing videos of himself with lightning sound effects and thunderbolts when he makes a pass or shoots on the goal. So yeah, Jaden Anthony, brilliant. And it was so nice to see him smiling the way he did after getting his goal at Birmingham. So on to Norwich then tonight at Carrow Road. I don't know where this lies in our priority? I would say probably not as much. For Norwich, though, it's a difficult one. Look, we're 7th in the Championship at the moment, and they are rooted to the bottom of the Premier League. A lot of people sort of suggest that they're probably going to go down again this season, not least Alex Crook from TalkSport. Before we talk about the game tonight, what Norwich are going to do, what we're going to do, you've heard what he said, right, about the fact that Norwich, they're seemingly cheating the system. He says, it doesn't sit right with me. It goes against sporting integrity, that they intentionally go up, and it's almost like they intentionally go down. What were your thoughts about what he said?
Clickbait radio, I thought. What does he expect?
Absolutely.
What does he expect? You know, the Premier League is structured as it is. You've got a number of clubs who are financed supremely well. I mean, Manchester City. It's like they're a country. You know, they've got that much money.
Yeah.
And for clubs like, who can we put in that category? Norwich, Watford, Burnley. There's probably about 10 of them who are going to be fighting against relegation from the division naturally, and there'll probably be a few others, Arsenal, who are not performing and might struggle as well this season. So to come out and say that, one, they haven't spent enough, not true, because they have spent quite a lot of money in this close season. Two, they're unambitious. I think Norwich are one of those clubs that they're not financed to the same level as a lot of teams in the Premier League. And you've just got to cut them a bit of slack. You know, if they finish above the relegation zone, that would be a success for them this season. And you know what? They might do it. They've got good quality in that squad. Better quality, I would argue, than clubs like Watford, Burnley, some others down there as well. Palace are going to struggle. It's always going to be a dogfight at the bottom. But to call them out and say that they're, what did he say? They're against footballing integrity. What a load of...
Yeah, he said, are they a club that's quite happy to yo-yo between the Premier League and the Championship? Are their fans okay with that? And largely, the answer is yes, because their club is run responsibly. And I sort of get the impression with regards to Norwich City, it's almost like a slow burner. Yeah, look, they shipped Buendia for a lot of money. They've made some good signings. They're trying to bed in at the moment. And it's all about the long-term sustainability of the club. And it's running a club responsibly. And I just find those remarks absolutely absurd. And look, Adrian Durham does it regarding Bournemouth when we were in the Premier League. Norwich are going to get it all season. Whoever's in the bottom three will get that patronising. And look, Norwich, they've played some of the hardest games they could have played to start the season. Played Manchester City and they played Liverpool, and around the corner after us, they've got Leicester and Arsenal. So, I mean, I know Arsenal are a bit of a dodgy side. We don't know which team will turn up, but were they expected to get like 3 points against the first two teams they were playing? I don't think so.
Were they expected to score a goal even? And they haven't.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, the mentality of a lot of clubs playing teams like Liverpool or Manchester City is, if we get a 0-0, we've done well. And if you lose, you kind of expect to lose. The team knows that. It's really hard to go onto a pitch thinking, we're going to beat this lot, if you know you haven't got a snowball's chance in hell. So don't beat them at it. Measure them against how they play against Brighton or Palace or somebody like that. That's the way to judge how Norwich are going to do.
And look, when we didn't get promoted, we had, Norwich fans to a lesser extent, but Watford and Brentford enjoy the Championship. Well, we do, because every time we wake up on a Saturday morning, we know we've got a chance of winning a game. It's, it's not considered a free hit. We don't have any free hits in this division, and that's why we're enjoying it. And not least when we have that rush of energy, when we score a goal, there's not that kind of worry that it's going to get chalked off about 5 minutes later through VAR. So anyway, Norwich City, I really hope they do stay up, and people like Alex Crook can be made to eat their words. But you get the impression with journalists such as him, it's almost fire and forget what they say. It doesn't really mean anything. They're just trying to get those phone lines buzzing at that point in time, and then they'll move on to something else, and it'll be a forgotten conversation. And he'll probably have a chat 2 weeks later about Norwich City where the context is completely different, and he'll be praising them. So honest to God, it's interesting. So Norwich City's Carabao Cup priority, you'd think would be low. because they want to stay in the Premier League, of course. But yeah, they have had a start to the season where they haven't scored a goal and they haven't got a point, and they need to kickstart their season. And as I said, they've not got easy matches ahead of them either. So they've got a number of new players in. Brandon Williams on loan from Man United. If he passes registration, should be starting for them tonight. Also, they've got the likes of Rashika from Werder Bremen, Giannoulis from PAOK, Suli as well, who might be playing. Josh Sargent from Werder Bremen as well. It's going to be a changed side, but it might be a good sort of gauge of where they're at. But for us, I suppose, Jeff, it's a chance to play the kids, right?
We've been playing them already. That's the problem. I think this game's come at a slightly wrong time for us. We've got a number of players who have just joined the club, possibly too early still for Cahill. I can't see Rodgers playing. I don't know. Maybe he will. But there's a number of players coming out from injury. Again, I think probably too early for some of those guys. I'd like to see Adam Smith getting a run out, Jack Stacey getting a run out, but I don't think they will. And we've got another long away trip coming against Hull, a game that I think we should be feeling positive about, because Hull have had an indifferent start to the season. So that's going to be a tough game. They're going to be up for it. They're going to stick a lot of balls in the box, as we know. So going to be a physically testing experience. And do we really want to progress in this cup all the way to Wembley and whatever? Does it really matter?
No.
It's like the MK Dons game. It's going to be a practice session, and actually, I think we're probably not in the best shape to do that. He's going to have to play a lot of players from the first team. Probably a few from the bench will play, which would be great. I think Sadie will start probably instead of Solanke, which would be good for him. But other than that, what is the point of this game?
Yeah, it's one of them where I think you're kind of wondering, will players like Ben Pearson start to maybe counteract the likes of the much more experienced players that might be playing? I mean, there's murmurings of Glover, Mariah Welsh, Kyle Taylor, and you're sort of looking at it and you're realising how threadbare we are. But slowly but surely, our first teamers will be coming back. Even Lerma will be available for the match against Hull on Saturday, because the 6 matches will have been used up. Of course, whether he'll still be a cherry at that point in time, it remains to be seen. But one of the players that we have added is Morgan Rodgers, the exciting teenage winger. He's joined the Cherries on a season-long loan from Premier League champions Manchester City in a move which could be made permanent with an option as part of the agreement. He's a versatile 19-year-old. You can operate anywhere across the front three, and he's been attracting interest from a number of Premier League clubs and Championship sides as well. So you're just wondering, if the paperwork is done in time, he could be an option from the bench tonight as well. It'd be really interesting to see how he could do.
It will be. He started off at West Brom, went to Manchester City. He's been there for a year or so now, I think. And last season went out on loan to Lincoln. Impressed at Lincoln, and they obviously had a pretty good run. They made the playoffs last season. What do I think about him? What I've seen reminds me a little bit of Foden. He's very good on the ball, very silky, very good touch, and drifts past players rather than burns them. He's one of those sorts of players, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch. I mean, one of the struggles I think for Parker is, what is the best 11 going to be? Because the youngsters have played so well. I mean, effectively, Kilkenny, if you're going to play one defensive midfielder, Kilkenny is behind Pearson, and Pearson will be behind Lerma. So really, what is he going to do? What is going to be the right setup going forwards from here? And maybe going in the forward line, because Jaden Anthony started so well. Jaden Anthony and Brooks, are you going to replace one of those with Rodgers at the moment? Probably not.
You're sort of wondering whether he'll stick with some of the players he's got at the moment, knowing that he's got the likes of Steve Cook coming back. I mean, he could stick with Kilkenny for a bit of momentum, but at the end of the day, we know that we've got Pearson coming back, and Pearson would usually be the first choice anyway, you'd think. So maybe he'll be doing that. It'd be really interesting. I mean, as a result of how it is at the moment, we're not even going to bother trying to predict a side tonight, because it could be anything. And sadly, it isn't watchable on any streams. So if you go in, you can watch it. If you're not, you can't. It's on BBC Radio Solent, of course, on 96.1 and 103.8, or digital radio. Yeah, sadly, we can't see it, but I know a man who is, Tom Jordan, and this is his 60-second take ahead of tonight's match at Carrow Road.
Quick coffee, and then we are on our way. Norwich. EFL Cup, so it's called now. Not sure what to expect, to be honest. Like, what sort of team we're going to put out? What sort of team are Norwich going to put out? It'd be interesting, but listen, it's a away day following the Ches, isn't it? So, looking forward to it. I think it could go the distance, it'd be typical. Make it a late one, but I think it could, because I think both teams will rotate, so we'll see. But I think we've got a lot of players that will, the youngsters that have come in so far have not let us down, have they? So, anymore, don't think they will either. And we might see a bit of experience in there as well, Will Steve Cook play, for example? I think Ben Pearson might get a start, so we're still going to have some decent players in there. Rodgers might even play, apparently. So I'm looking forward to it anyway. And I haven't had some great trips to Norwich. I think my best one was probably last season when obviously fans weren't allowed in. So due a win there, just like I was at Forest. So yeah, bring it on. Nick it on pens. Travis the hero. Nyland could be in goal, actually. Nyland the hero. But yeah, let's say it's going to go the distance anyway. Safe trip to all.
Brilliant. Then, so we're all jealous of Tom. We're all jealous of Tom who's going, Jeff, aren't we? But you know what? It's one of those matches where I think whatever the outcome, I don't really think it matters, and probably that's the same for Norwich as well. But they probably need the win more than we do, just for a little bit of a kickstart to their season.
And they will have seen the result last night that West Ham got against Leicester, and actually probably fancy their chances now about getting something against Leicester. So that's not a bad thing. Might encourage them to rest more players than they perhaps would have done. So we'll see. We'll see.
All right then, Jeff. Go on. Put it on the line. Let's have a prediction. It can go to penalties, of course.
Yeah, 0-0, 7-6 on penalties to us. How about that?
There you go. I'm happy to go with that. What's your predictions? Let us know in the comments below. Jeff Hayward, nice to have you back, buddy.
Yeah, cheers.